Okay, so welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. And today we're going to jump into a story from Journey to the West that really, I think it's just so powerful. It's called The Extermination of the Nation of France, which just the title alone, right?
Right. Yeah.
Kind of sets you up. And, for those who haven't, maybe haven't read Journey to the West, I mean, it's a classic Chinese novel.
It is a classic.
It's just filled with all this Buddhist teachings.
Yeah.
But this particular story we're going to dive into today,
Yeah.
it really tackles some, I think, just some really intense themes.
Yeah.
Like religious persecution and like the idea of immortality, and like what people would do for that. So
It's a great story, and it's one that's very memorable within Journey to the West just because of that kind of shocking premise.
exactly. And it's wild. So we're talking about a king who is convinced that killing Buddhist monks is the key to immortality.
Yeah, I mean, that's the setup.
Like what?
Like, how do you even arrive at that conclusion?
I know.
But yeah, he's convinced.
Wow.
And he's not just like thinking about it. He's actually been doing it.
Yeah.
He's already executed something like over 13,000 Buddhist monks by the time the story starts.
13,000 monks.
Yeah.
That's just
It's a lot.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, I think it just raises the question, how can somebody be led so far astray?
Well, and that's, one of the central points of the story, right, is how do you get to that point? And in this case, it's this, evil Taoist that's whispering in the king's ear.
Oh, so there's like a, kind of a puppet master behind the scenes.
Exactly. Yeah, he's the sort of demonic figure who's, kind of disguised as a Taoist priest, and he's the one that's been feeding the king. This idea that if you kill all these monks and you make robes out of their, skins or whatever, you're going to achieve immortality.
It's so interesting because it makes me think about, in today's world, how people in positions of power can be influenced by, outside forces or people with their own agendas.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's one of the things that makes this story so timeless. It's not just a fantastical tale. It's actually, reflecting on something that's very real.
Exactly.
Which is the way that people can be manipulated and how dangerous that can be.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so we have this, kind of this horrifying backdrop.
Yeah.
Right? So enter, our heroes,
Okay.
Tripitaka and his disciples, Monkey King, Pigsy Sandy.
The gang's all here.
They're on their pilgrimage,
Yeah.
And they kind of stumble upon this kingdom.
Yeah, they don't know what they're walking into
I have no idea.
at all. And you can imagine just the look on their faces when they find out that, being a Buddhist monk in this country is basically a death sentence.
It's like walking into a trap.
It is.
It's terrifying. Just makes me think about, the dangers that people face even today, for openly practicing their faith.
Yeah, definitely. It's a
Yeah.
very real issue. And this story kind of highlights that in a really dramatic way.
Right. So knowing the risks, how do they even approach this kingdom?
Well, they can't just waltz in, with their robes and their staffs.
Right.
They have to be super careful. So they actually come up with this plan to disguise themselves.
Oh, wow. So they're going undercover.
Yeah, Tripitaka, he puts on the robes of a Taoist priest,
Okay.
right? Monkey King, he pretends to be his disciple. And then Pigsy and Sandy, they're just like these, humble porters carrying luggage.
It's amazing. I love that they have to resort to these measures just to survive.
Yeah, it shows just how dangerous the situation is. They can't even travel openly as Buddhists.
Yeah, it's a huge risk for them.
Yeah.
So they're in disguise. They're undercover.
Yeah.
But, disguises only last so long, right?
Of course.
You can't keep up a facade forever.
No, their true identities are eventually revealed and they're
Yeah.
captured.
Oh, no.
So now they're in this really, really tight spot.
Okay, so they're imprisoned in a land where monks are routinely executed. I'm already feeling the tension here.
Oh, yeah, the stakes are super high.
So how do they escape this seemingly hopeless situation?
Well, it's Monkey King, right?
Right.
He always has a trick up his sleeve.
He's the resourceful one.
Exactly. So he uses his shape-shifting abilities.
Ooh, shape-shifting. That's so cool.
Yeah, he can transform into anything he wants.
Wow.
So he tricks the king into drinking a sleeping potion.
Okay, so it's not like a violent overthrow or anything.
It's very clever. He's using his wits.
Exactly. He's using his cunning and his magic to outsmart the king.
I love that. And it gives them a chance to escape.
Exactly. Well, the king's, out cold, they make a run for it.
Okay, so they escape. But, their escape isn't the end of the story, right?
No, it's actually just the beginning of a deeper confrontation.
Oh, okay, so there's more to come.
Yeah, because during their escape, they stumble upon the royal treasury.
Okay.
And what they find there is just chilling.
Oh no, what is it? It's piles of monk robes and bones.
Oh my God.
Like evidence of the king's horrific actions.
It's a really stark reminder of the true cost of, this king's pursuit of immortality.
Absolutely. And I think it's also a really important moment in the story because it really sets the stage for that final confrontation.
Oh, okay, so it's not over yet.
No, because it turns out that the Taoist, who's been advising the king,
Right.
he's not really a Taoist at all.
What?
He's actually a demon in disguise.
A demon. Okay, so now we're getting into like the supernatural elements of the story.
Yeah, this is where the fantastical and the real kind of blend together.
I mean, and it makes me think, this demon, it could be interpreted as something more than just, pure evil, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like, what does that demon represent?
Exactly. Could it be like, the darker aspects of human ambition or, the dangers of unchecked power?
Exactly. I think that's a really interesting way to look at it. Because on one level, yeah, it's this, scary monster. But on another level, it could represent those corrupting influences,
Yeah.
both internal and external,
Yeah,
that can lead individuals down a really dark path.
absolutely.
Mm.
So what happens next?
Well, of course, there's this big showdown.
Okay, the classic battle of good versus evil.
Exactly. Monkey King versus this demon.
I bet this is where Monkey King's, strength and his determination really shine.
Oh, absolutely. He's not backing down from this fight.
So who wins?
Well, Monkey King, he's incredibly powerful and resourceful.
Right.
So he eventually triumphs.
Yeah.
He vanquishes the demon, and he frees the king from his evil influence.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So demon-defeated kings still out cold from the potion.
Yeah, he's going to sleep for a while.
So what happens next?
Well, this is where the story shifts from action to
Right.
something I think much deeper, which
Okay.
is the possibility of redemption.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Because the king awakes,
Mhm.
and he's confronted with the horrifying truth of his actions.
Wow.
He's killed all these monks.
Mm.
He's been misled by this demon, and he's overcome with remorse.
So it's not like he wakes up and he's like, oh, well,
No, he's truly devastated by what he's done.
It's a powerful moment.
Yeah.
It makes you think about, real world leaders
Yeah.
and the consequences of their choices.
Yeah, definitely. And it raises this question, what does this king's transformation tell us about the possibility of change?
Right. Even after committing such, horrific acts.
Yeah. Can someone truly atone for that?
That's a big question.
Yeah.
And what does the story tell us?
Well, the king, despite the enormity of his crimes, he chooses to dedicate his life to rebuilding temples and restoring the Buddhist faith.
Wow.
So it suggests that even after committing terrible acts, atonement and change are possible.
That's actually really hopeful.
Yeah, I think it's a very powerful message of redemption.
Yeah, it's a reminder that it's never too late to make amends.
Right. Your past doesn't have to define you.
That's really beautiful. So as we kind of, wrap up this story, what do you think is the biggest takeaway, for listeners?
That's a tough one. There are so many layers to this story.
Right.
But I think on one hand, it's a warning.
Okay.
It's a warning about the dangers of blind faith and, the seductive lure of power.
Right. We see that with the king.
Exactly. But at the same time, it's also a story about hope.
Yeah. Okay.
It highlights the possibility of redemption, the power of truth, and the importance of fighting for what's right, even when the odds seem totally insurmountable.
Yeah. And I think, that's what makes Journey to the West so captivating. It
Definitely.
uses this, fantastical storytelling
Mhm.
to explore these very real, very human issues.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it continues to resonate with people even today.
Yeah. So as we finish up this deep dive, I'd like to leave our listeners with a question to ponder.
Okay, I like it.
What demons, real or metaphorical, might be influencing harmful decisions in our world today?
That's a good question.
And how can we, like Monkey King, challenge those forces and fight for a better tomorrow?
It's something to think about for sure.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for joining us for another deep dive, and we'll see you next time.
See you then. Bye.